Hello, and welcome to your Mining Disrupt news update for Friday, August 11th, 2023. As ever, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Absolutely nothing I say should be taken as financial advice. If you're interested in partnering with us as a sponsor, please reach out. Today, we'll be covering a leak revealing that the BlackRock ETF is a matter of when and not if. David Rubenstein of the Carlyle Group is saying that Bitcoin is going to be around for a while. We're going to go through some recent tweets talking about energy and some things happening in Texas, and the Kingdom of Bhutan is continuing their mining adventure. But first, the numbers. Here we are on Time Chain Calendar once again. You can see in the top right-hand corner that the exchange rate for one shiny Bitcoin is $29,436 if you'd rather trade dollars for sats. You will get 3,397 sats per dollar. And right now, the block time is a little bit slowed down from where we were last time. I think it was real close to that 10-minute target time on Monday. But now it's slowed down a tick to 10 minutes and 24 seconds, meaning the next difficulty adjustment will be a downward shift of 3.39%. Your priority on-chain transactions are going to cost you 14 sats per VByte, and your anytime is going to be 11 sats per VByte. Not that much different. We're looking at over 440 unconfirmed transactions in the mempool, which is a depth of 137 blocks. Will that ever clear again? I don't know. I would not be taking bets on that. Unless you've been living under a pet rock for the last 3 months or so, then you have definitely heard about this BlackRock ETF. Among others, there's Cathie Wood's ARK, there's the Fidelity ETF, there's many people, many organizations looking to get into the Bitcoin game. This one here is from Forbes. Leak reveals BlackRock's game-changing Bitcoin plan that could cause price chaos for Ethereum, XRP, and crypto. The Bitcoin price has reclaimed $30,000 per Bitcoin this week after dropping under the psychological level as hype around a flurry of U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, ETF, applications returns. Now Mike Novogratz, the chief executive of crypto financial services company Galaxy Digital, has revealed his sources at two of the world's largest asset managers, BlackRock and Invesco, expect a game-changing spot ETF to be approved within the next 6 months, calling it a matter of when, not if. The real quick bird's eye view of the situation is that what these ETFs would do, one or many of them, as we'll get into it in a second, it lends legitimacy to the entire space. People on the fence are going, I don't know, Bitcoin, it's kind of weird. But as soon as BlackRock gets approved, then they go, oh, well, BlackRock's in it? Maybe I should be too. Novogratz, citing his contacts at two asset managers that between them look at around 10 trillion of value, said it's not a question of if, but when the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, will approve at least one of a handful of ETF applications. It's a big deal, Novogratz said during Galaxy's second quarter earnings call with investors and analysts. It's a big deal because both our contacts from the Invesco side and from the BlackRock side get you to think that this is a question of when, not if. And so you're kind of in your 4 to 6 months if you had to put a pin the tail on the donkey audit. 4 to 6 months. Let's say it's 6 months. That's roughly February of next year. When does the halving happen? Well, the answer to that is April 2024. If these ETFs got approved, any one or multiple of them got approved in February, and then the halving happens a couple months later, can you imagine what would happen? Just imagine that scenario. You've got ETFs being approved, and then the supply being cut in half. Just picture that for a moment. Last month, BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF application spurred a flurry of rival bids when it revealed it had filed a request with the SEC to launch an investment vehicle that would allow institutional and individual traders to gain exposure to Bitcoin without directly buying and selling the asset on a cryptocurrency exchange. I think that August 13th will come and go, Wood told Bloomberg, dialing back expectations ahead of the decision after previously trumpeting ARK's first-in-line position. I think the SEC, if it's going to approve a Bitcoin ETF, will approve more than one at once. At this point, you've got Cathie Wood, who was quoting there at the end, of ARK Investments. You've got BlackRock and Larry Fink talking about how Bitcoin gives people hope. You've got Invesco, you've got Fidelity. You have all of these major players getting their pieces into place. The halving is right around the corner, and all of these ETFs are, according to this, a matter of when and not if. There is so much interest just riling around the corners. Everybody's putting their pieces into play, and I don't even know what to expect in 2024, but I think it's going to be very exciting. We're going to keep this positive vibe flowing right now. We're going to jump over to CoinDesk and look at what David Rubenstein said about Bitcoin recently. Billionaire private equity titan David Rubenstein believes Bitcoin is here to stay thanks to growing institutional interest as evidenced by BlackRock's application for a spot Bitcoin ETF, as well as general global demand for a form of money that can't be controlled by governments. A lot of people around the world want to be able to trade in a currency that their government can't know what they have, and they want to be able to move it around, rightly or wrongly, and so I don't think Bitcoin is going away, he said during an appearance on Bloomberg TV Tuesday. What's happened is people made fun of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but now the establishment, Larry Fink at BlackRock, is now saying they're going to have an ETF if approved by the government in Bitcoin. So you're saying, wait a second. The mighty BlackRock is willing to have an ETF in Bitcoin. Maybe Bitcoin is going to be around for a while. This clip that I'm going to play is an expansion on what I just covered. At this point, the host asks a really good question about why BlackRock might be getting into Bitcoin at all.
It's one thing for BlackRock to come up with an ETF because they believe in the proposition of Bitcoin. It's another because they see a profitability proposition where they can, basically take advantage of the interests other people have. I mean, isn't that more of what this is? That basically Wall Street is saying, if there is a market for it and we can viably make one for them and make some money, why not?
Well, remember, Wall Street is in business to make money, and this is something they can probably make money of. You have to remember, the United States government has been somewhat skeptical of it. I think Democrats in the Congress and particularly the people regulating the SEC are skeptical of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. But outside the United States, there's a lot of interest in it.
I love her question there. Is BlackRock getting into this just to gain exposure because there's interest? And what he says there is basically, who cares? The people on Wall Street are there to make money. That's what their job is to make money. So it doesn't really matter if BlackRock cares about the freedom aspects of Bitcoin. It doesn't really matter if they care about the ways that it can improve lives around the world by bringing energy to areas where it might not have otherwise been. The reason I say it doesn't matter is because once BlackRock does get that ETF, and as I just covered a few minutes ago, it's a matter of when and not if, according to Mike Novogratz. The reason that doesn't matter is because they're bringing that exposure. They're bringing legitimacy to Bitcoin as a whole. And so that will bring other people on board. And what he points out there is that there's a whole world. We often forget this. Most of the people on planet Earth do not reside in the United States of America. I think it's something like 350, 400 million that live in the United States. Well, there's another 7.5 billion people that are everywhere else in the world. And if 7.5 billion people would like to have Bitcoin in other parts of the world, then it doesn't really matter what the US is doing. But if a few people, say the people at BlackRock, see what the other 7.5 billion people want and they go, well, let's try and get in on that, because if 7.5 billion people around the world want Bitcoin, well, who cares what the few people here in control of the 350 odd million in the US want? My point to all of this is BlackRock is positioning themselves to be at the front to gain as much exposure to as much money as possible. That is what they are in this game for, to make money. And on that point of making money and chasing incentives and looking to see where the money is coming from, take a look at this. This is from Swan, Bitcoin Signal. Breaking. Texas aims to attract more Bitcoin mining and cut greenhouse emissions with a new tax exemption for energy producers that use flared or vented gas to mine Bitcoin. That is truly beautiful to see. Oftentimes we hear about Bitcoin mining and how it's so good for the environment, but we don't always really have the ability to comprehend how bad certain other mining is. That's diamond mining. I don't know where this is, but that giant hole, apparently, according to Bitcoin Magazine, is diamond mining versus Bitcoin mining. You ready for the Bitcoin mining picture? You already saw one a minute ago, but here, look at that. There you go. That's the difference. You got grass out there. No massive city-sized hole or shoot, that hole is bigger than the city. Good Lord, that's a big hole. And to round out the news, we're going to touch on the Kingdom of Bhutan. New from Bitcoin Magazine, Bitdeer announces the completion of its new Bitcoin mining facility in the Kingdom of Bhutan. They obtained an additional 15,000 miners for the last month alone. If you're like me and not a real pro with geography, you might have been wondering, where in the world is Carmen not Carmen Sandiego. I don't know where she is. But where in the world is the Kingdom of Bhutan? Well, I'm going to show you. Let's go over to Google Earth, and we will check that out right now. The last time we took a look at this map, we were down at the mining conference right here in Florida. So now let's pop in Kingdom of Bhutan and see exactly where that's at. We're going to hit the skies, zoom out here, go all the way up into the atmosphere, into space, and then zoom across the world right here. So it's near Nepal, northeast of India, a little bit south of China, right there. Yeah, I had no idea. I don't think I would have guessed that. I had no idea, but now I've got an idea. So this right here is where they're doing all this mining. And now they've gained an additional 15,000 miners. So they're doing anything other than slowing down. Thank you for stopping by and getting your Mining Disrupt news update. I hope you have a great weekend. Until next time.